best young offensive cores in honor of the Atlanta Falcons and given all the young weapons they have. That's our draft for today. Myles, as always, you get the first pick.
Thank you, Mike. Well, I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles here because I don't know that there's much better as an offensive core, starting with your young quarterback in a Jalen Hurts, but then you add A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, may or may not count Dallas Goedert because he's 28, but, he's still in his 20s. That's a young man. He's younger than me. So DeAndre Swift, you add that to the list, to Kenneth Gainwell. There's not many better young cores to me than that. And, they went to the Super Bowl last year. They are probably one of the favorites to get to the Super Bowl this year from the NFC. So I got to pick the Eagles.
Yeah, it's hard because you don't find every piece young. There's one in there that kind of screws it up. I've been thinking through the depth charts, and there's always one. I'm going to start, though, because young quarterback has got to be one of the keys. And if you're going to leave the Falcons on the board, I gave you the first pick. I thought you'd start with the Falcons. The whole thing's about the freaking Falcons. Give me the Falcons. Look at what the Falcons have. All those great weapons. I mean, Cordell Patterson doesn't count because he's in his 11th year. But you've got Bijan Robinson, who I think is going to be a transformational talent. Drake London, top 10 pick last year. Kyle Pitts, maybe he finally breaks out now that he's got these other guys around him. Tyler Algier had 1,000 rushing yards last year, very quietly, 1,000 yards. They've got a great group of guys, and I think Arthur Smith is going to find a way to deploy them in a manner that makes the Falcons, who were 7-10 each of the last 2 years. And we just don't think of them as that being that good, being that close to 500, that close to the fringes of playoff contention, but they have been. I think that that young nucleus helps push them over the top, and I have faith that Desmond Ridder is going to make the most out of all those guys that he has around him.
So much faith that you even know his first name. That's why,
Desmond.
You're higher than I am.
What did I say?
You said Dennis first.
Dennis Ridder.
Yeah, right.
Desmond
Anyway,
Ridder. I didn't say Dennis. I started to say Dennis.
Started
There's
to
a
say Dennis.
Get your facts straight.
And then you corrected yourself. So, like I said, he's got so much confidence in him that you really know his first name off the cuff. I mean, look, you're higher on the Falcons than I am, mainly because you're saying if, right? If Bijan Robinson, if Kyle Pitts has a break, if Desmond, we already know what the Eagles have done, right? And so, anyway, I would go to my second pick here, which would be the Cincinnati Bengals. And again, we're talking about guys who are a little bit more proven, right? Joe Burrow, still on the first contract. T. Higgins, still on the first contract. Tyler Boyd is another one where he's still in his 20s, but Orlando Brown Jr., you add him to that nucleus of young players, right? Irv Smith, will see what he does at tight end. Joe Mixon's only 26. That is a great young offensive core that has shown what they can do over the last couple seasons.
It is amazing Joe Mixon's only 26. It feels like he's been around forever, and he's the old man of that group. I'm torn here. I'll go Chicago Bears. I got a lot of hope in the Bears moving forward. And it's another if pick, but Justin Fields, the most dangerous running threat in the NFL right now. They have Chase Claypool, who I think with a full season will rediscover the form that we saw his rookie year. They picked up DJ Moore. They have Roschon Johnson that they stole in round 4, who's one of the better running backs. And they have Deontay Foreman, who is older, but again, it's always one guy that's going to screw up the average a little bit. But I think that there's still a lot there for Justin Fields, who could be spectacular this year. Year 3, they're building the offense around him. They've been able to add some pieces. I think that entire nucleus of offensive players could end up being extremely good for the Bears. All right, here we are so far. The best young offensive cores. Round 3 is upon us. Myles, you are up.
All right, Mike, I feel like I could probably pass and still win this draft. And there are teams that I will shout out here because they're on my list. Detroit is another one of these that could be really good. The Chiefs, they still have a young offensive core with Isaiah Pacheco, Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore. I like Rashee Rice, Creed Humphrey. Those are all dudes that are young. They're all dudes that are young. And you're not even letting me get to my pick. Let me get to my pick because my pick is the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a very nice young offensive core. Well, that's because they do. Kenny Pickett, Najee Harris, Pat Freiermuth, who I think is going to start emerging as one of the better tight ends in the league. Deontay Johnson, George Pickens. I like Broderick Jones, their pick out of Georgia, young tackle. That is a really good young offensive core, and I think they could make even more noise than they did last year in the AFC North.
Yeah, you took mine. I'll go Jaguars because Trevor Lawrence, I think, and again, it's hard to get because the receivers are a little older, but they have Travis Etienne, they have Trevor Lawrence. I still think of them as young. I think if the team is up and coming, so I didn't think you were going to take the Steelers. And I do, since we have 30 seconds left, I do take issue with any reference to the Detroit Lions or the Kansas City Chiefs. When the quarterback is on his second contract, when the quarterback is either 30 or pushing 30, that dilutes the whole thing. The whole thing starts with young quarterback.
Or 27. Whatever. All right. Well, I think 20s is still pretty young, even though, whatever you want to say. Right.
Younger than you, which means young.
Exactly.
That's it. Thanks for some of your time. We'll see everybody tomorrow morning. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.